Alright guys, Papa Pepper here with more of 50 Days to Understanding the End Times More Accurately. We're winding down with this volume. Hopefully it's been a good bunch of days so far for you guys. Today, I believe we're on day 47, the End Time Call to Sobriety. Though we cannot get around what Matthew 24 verses 48 to 49 says, that evil servant shall say, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to drink with the drunken. If this was the only occurrence of such a message, we could conclude that God certainly didn't put as much emphasis on it as I do. However, as I'm now about to show, this is a clear and repeated message, as it specifically relates to the end times. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us, who are of the day, be sober. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 6 to 8a. This passage clearly contains two exhortations to be sober. Drunkenness is even specifically mentioned between these exhortations. The passage appears between the teachings of the day of the Lord and the coming of the thief in the night. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 2, and the well-known, for God hath not appointed us to wrath, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 9. Without a doubt, this repeated command of sobriety is in an end time context. It is also worth noting that the first mention instructs us, let us watch and be sober. The evil servant gives up watching because his Lord delayeth his coming, and begins to get drunk with the drunken. This time, or the time that we most need to be watching, is when the temptation of strong drink for the pre-tribulationalist will be strongest. Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind to be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is brought to us, or brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 13. The word translated as sober here means clear-headed and self-controlled, with no specific mention of drunkenness in this verse. However, being self-controlled and clear-headed is contrary to drunkenness. If Noah had been self-controlled, he would not have passed out naked. And if Lot would have been clear-headed, he would have never gotten his own daughters pregnant. But these men were drunk. The specific appeal is made pointing out the revelation, or pointing to the revelation of Jesus Christ, when he returns for us. But the end of all things is at hand. Be therefore sober and watch unto prayer. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7. The word translated as sober here means to be in the right state of mind or be self-controlled, much like the Greek word used in the last passage, though a different word is used here. Again, if we are under the influence of strong drink, we are not in the right state of our mind. Interestingly, the same Greek word translated sober in the previous verse, 1 Peter 1:13, is translated as watch in this verse. Technically then, because of all things, the end of all things is at hand, we are twice exhorted to be sober and in our right mind. The strength of this message should be obvious, since this is one short verse, and it mentions it twice. Since the conclusion that Jesus had not shown up on time is what causes the evil servant to turn on his fellow servants and begin to eat and drink with the drunken, I do not think it strange that we are so often warned not to be deceived and to pay careful attention. Point number 1, we are repeatedly warned to stay under control and keep our heads as the last days approach and as we enter them. Point number 2, we must therefore remain sober. Point number 3, we must also be willing to suffer as we wait. Guys, that was day 47, a couple more left for you. Appreciate you joining me for this. Papa out.